came home the way I always did after work. Same hour, same boots, the same dull ache in my lower back. Keys went into the bowl, and I headed for the fridge, then stopped cold. A folded scrap of paper sat square in the middle of the kitchen table, held down by a silver locker key. Not the house key, her gym key. I didn't open it right away. I just stood there looking at the key like it was some kind of signal. Then I picked up the note. Short. Clinical. No fluff. I need space. I need freedom. Please don't try to contact me. I'll be fine. No sorry, no I love you, just goodbye with directions. Quick note before we keep going. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I didn't collapse. I didn't sit. I just lingered in that unnaturally quiet kitchen while the scent of the morning coffee still hung in the air. Coconut creamer, the faint ghost of her mug rinsed but not put away. The mug with the lipstick smear, now dry and useless. The backsplash we argued about, the couch she picked, the fake fiddle leaf fig she insisted on buying. Everything looked like a set left empty after the actors cleared out. In the bedroom she'd taken her favorites. The red wrap dress, the gold chain she wore out, that tote she always brought to brunch. She'd left behind her muddy hiking sneakers. Her perfume bottle sat on the dresser. Pictures of us, me hoisting her at Niagara Falls, her kissing my cheek at a cousin's wedding, still framed, still smiling. I grabbed my phone and called a lawyer, asked for a quick consult. Then I opened our banking app and froze the joint accounts. I wasn't furious or shattered. I was clear. The next morning I packed a bag and went on the solo fishing trip I'd been postponing for over a year. We talked about kids and I'd shelved it. I'd canceled other plans when money got tight. Well, she'd asked for freedom. I was giving it, with paperwork and structure. I left before dawn and didn't stop until Lake Hartwell. Parked in the shade, set up by the water, I didn't say a word for the day. Me, my rods, and the old camper I gutted and rebuilt last fall. The same thing she used to call a waste of weekends. That night it felt like the best bed I'd ever slept in. I let the phone die in the glove box, cooked over a fire pit, drank black coffee from a tin mug, and landed 3 bass the first night. Cleaned them on the cutting board she'd given me for Christmas. The irony didn't escape me, but I didn't dwell. Fish, eat, sleep, repeat. On Sunday morning I finally charged the phone just to check the time. The notifications hit like a flood. Missed calls, texts, voicemails, dozens. First came messages from her friends. Hey, have you talked to Megan? She's freaking out. Tell her not to shut people out. Then her texts, casual at first. Hope you're okay, can you call me? It's important. Why isn't my card working? Did something happen with the bank? Then panic. Are you getting these? Please answer me. I don't understand. Why would you do this? I only wanted space, not a war. I didn't respond. I didn't even listen to the voicemails. No guilt, just a quiet I hadn't felt in a long time. I could actually hear my own thoughts. I stayed one more night, mostly awake, but planning next steps. Monday morning I showered at the marina, shaved, put on the suit I kept in the truck, drove 3 hours straight, and pulled into the lawyer's office on time. And there she was, Megan, sitting on the curb outside like some scene from a sad music video. Hoodie up, hair in a messy bun, mascara streaked. Not the Instagram version from 5 days ago. Here's to freedom and fresh starts, but ragged and real. She stood up when she saw me. Wait, can we talk? She asked, voice cracking. I kept walking toward the office door. Please, what's going on? Why is everything locked down? She pressed. I didn't raise my voice. You said not to contact you. I'm honoring that. She stepped in front of me, snapping. That's not what I meant. I needed a break. Not forever. I said simply. You left a note. You took your stuff. You told me not to look for you. Her eyes dropped. I didn't think you'd actually follow instructions, she murmured. I stepped around her and opened the door. Lawyers exist for this reason. Behind me I heard her start to cry, muttering, this is a huge mistake. Too late for that. Walter was in the lobby waiting. He handed me a folder and nodded toward the conference room. I felt her presence outside the window. Freedom looked cute in her Instagram posts. The consequences of that post were another matter. Just as Walter held the conference room door, the glass entrance burst and Megan came running in from the sidewalk, breathless and furious. What the hell is going on? Why can't I access anything? She demanded. I handed the folder to Walter and turned to her. I froze the accounts. Got counsel. You said don't contact you, so I didn't. I handled business. She stared at me like I'd struck her. You froze everything? She whispered. Yeah, everything joint. My name's on it, so I made a decision. Her voice dropped. She stepped closer. I didn't leave forever. It wasn't like that. I needed space. You said not to look for you. I reminded, steady. She glanced at Walter. Is that your lawyer? I nodded. Her face drained as panic rolled in. You already hired someone last week? She stammered. Are you serious? You told me not to talk to you, I said. I was respecting your choice. She pulled her phone out, and I could see the retainer confirmation in her email. You He didn't even try to talk to me first, she accused. You left a damn note, Megan. She moved between pleading and fury. You're blowing this out of proportion. I needed a break, Mason. I was overwhelmed. Then say that, I said. Don't leave your gym key on the table like a dramatic mic drop. Her voice cracked. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just needed to breathe. Now that her cards were declined and her friends were worried, she called it a mistake. Her expression shifted. She realized I wasn't angry. I was done. I didn't cheat, she said quietly. I never said you did, I replied. But you're acting like I'm the enemy. You asked for freedom. I'm making it official. She took a step back as if I'd thrown something. This is cruel, she whispered. Cruel would be leaving someone dangling while you decide if they're worth coming back to. I shot back. Walter stepped up. Mason, we've got 10 minutes before the next appointment. You ready? Yeah. I looked at Megan. I'll be in touch through legal. Nothing personal. Just keeping it clean. Her arms dropped. You're not even willing to talk it through? She asked. You made your speech. I'm documenting it. She shook her head slowly, as if seeing me anew. You're not the man I married. I answered plainly. The guy I would have waited around for isn't here anymore. I walked past her without another word. Late that afternoon, a voicemail came through from a guy named Kyle, sounding like he wanted to be buddies. Hey Mason, it's Kyle. Think we should have a man-to-man chat when you get a minute. Give me a call. I knew who he was, the co-worker who always laughed too loud beside her at company events, the one in group photos with his arm around her shoulder. I forwarded the voicemail to Walter and told him to handle it. I didn't want any more of this to deal with alone. The next morning I heard a knock and peered through the door chain before opening the glass. Kyle stood there, hands in his pockets, looking overly smug. Megan trailed behind him, head down. Hey Mason, it's Kyle. We just came by to grab a few things she didn't get last night, he chirped. I didn't open the door. You've got about 2 seconds before I call the cops, I said. He squinted like I was joking. It's no big deal, just a bag or two. I shook my head. You're not coming in. He tried to push. Come on, man, let us grab the stuff. She's been through a lot. I stayed firm. The locks are changed. The house is mine now. Any access goes through lawyers, and you don't have one. He hissed about rights and ugly consequences. I watched them leave while Megan kept staring at her phone, pretending not to be part of the scene. I locked the door and went back to my coffee. After they left, I started digging for answers. I didn't want to, but I needed the whole picture. I opened the shared computer on the desk, the one she said she didn't use anymore but still used for recipes and the occasional Amazon purchase. The login prompt blinked. I typed the password I'd always used, her birthday, and the desktop came up. Same icons, same wallpaper she'd chosen after our trip. Vermont last year. The weight of it settled in my chest, but I didn't stop. I started with her email. Nothing dramatic at first, the usual clutter, until I found the thread between her and Kyle. The subject line looked harmless. Reconference after party. But the chain went back for weeks. I scrolled through it like watching a bad film play out. Messages from her, from him. Can't wait for tonight. We'll have more fun than last time. Promise. Winking face. Just don't let Mason find out. He's so clueless. Don't worry, I'll handle it. Just a few more weeks and we'll be good. My stomach twisted. A few more weeks. This had been going on far longer than I'd realized, months. They'd been laughing about me and the life I thought we were building. She hadn't even bothered to clear her browser history. Apparently, it didn't matter to her. I opened the chat logs next. Messages stretching back to the start of the year. They'd been plotting this slowly, like two people playing a game with no stakes. Every note about their plan, every lie she'd fed me was there. Then I found the last message I'd missed the first time. Notes on the table. Freedom begins. See you in an hour. I sat with that line for a long time. She couldn't even finish with something human, just a cold, clipped message to cover her tracks and make sure things went according to plan. I checked the downloads folder and found a travel directory. Inside was a hotel receipt, the same place she and Kyle had used the week before she left. Room for 2, late checkout. I took a screenshot, copied everything to an external drive, grabbed more screenshots of the messages, the receipt, and every digital breadcrumb that sketched out the story. I didn't flinch. This was my evidence, and I wasn't going to waste it. When it was over, there was no triumphant rush. Instead, I felt like I'd swung a door open that couldn't be closed. It hurt to see her for what she really was, but it also made sense. She wasn't someone who needed space. She'd already chosen. I shut the computer down, grabbed my phone, and forwarded every screenshot, every message, every hotel detail straight to Walter. Then I sat in the silence. No more questions. No more wondering. I was going to finish this. I refused to be the bad guy in her story. Once Walter confirmed everything was in order, I called the landlord, explained the situation, sent him a copy of the note she'd left, and told him she'd gone permanently. He didn't hesitate. The lease was rewritten only in my name. No fight, no drama. It was done. I didn't celebrate. I just completed a necessary, quiet task. The house was mine. A week later my phone rang while I was washing dishes. Her name flashed on the screen. I answered on the third ring out of procedure, not curiosity. "What the hell, Mason? Why aren't you letting me back in?" she demanded, frantic. "You left," I said slowly, like I was explaining the simplest thing. "You vacated. The lease is in my name now. You don't have a key." She tried to force reality into mine. "I'm coming back to the house and you can't stop me." I stayed steady. "You gave up access when you left." I followed my lawyer's advice. "The locks are changed. The house is mine." After a long pause her voice cracked. "What am I supposed to do now? You think I'm just going to disappear?" I didn't soften. "Is Kyle's place working out? You two aren't exactly living in luxury." She didn't answer at first. I could almost hear her trying to hide facts. Finally she spat. "You don't know anything about it." I didn't need to. "You're not my problem anymore. You chose to leave. You deal with the consequences." Her whisper came next. "I didn't think you'd actually do this." I let the quiet hang. "You wanted freedom, Megan. Now you've got it. Don't make me your fallback plan." I hung up. It wasn't satisfaction so much as a weight lifting. Everything was done. I hadn't done anything to her. I'd simply followed the process. She couldn't pin the wreckage on me. She had the freedom she'd asked for. I just made sure it came with a reality check. I kept quiet. I wasn't going to badmouth her or explain myself to anyone who didn't ask. But secrets don't stay buried. Whispers spread, friends checking in about her, then people picking sides. Some who'd always seen us as a couple drifted away. Others offered perfunctory condolences. Kyle's name began floating around too. Turns out he wasn't the single savior image he'd sold. He was married. His own divorce had been public and ugly. His wife had spilled everything on social media. HR got involved at his job and his reputation cratered. Yet he'd been playing the good guy while his professional life started to unravel. Promotions vanished, assignments shrank, and his fake charm stopped working. One afternoon Megan's old friend Emma called. She'd always been quiet in the group, but this time she had to speak. "You're hearing about her, right?" she asked, hesitant. I didn't confirm. "She's posting happy pictures, but people are talking. It doesn't look good." "Let them talk," I said, controlled and sharp. "I'm done with the rumors. I don't owe anyone an explanation." Emma pressed on. "It's a disaster. They're barely holding it together." I replied. "I'm not part of the lie anymore. If they want to keep pretending, that's on them." I hung up. The online narrative caught up quickly, staged smiles, filtered images, hollow captions about fresh starts. The more they tried to sell happiness, the more the cracks showed. I didn't have to speak. They were undoing themselves. I was asleep when a voicemail came in past midnight. Megan talked about a Grand Canyon trip we'd taken years earlier. "Do you remember the sunset?" Her voice trembled. "The colors were so beautiful. We were supposed to go back. Maybe we still could." She paused like she expected an answer. Then, almost disconnected from the recollection, she said, "Anyway, I need to know if I can buy out my share of the deposit. $28.50, Mason. I'll get it to you as soon as I can." I deleted the rest and moved on. The next morning an email from her lawyer arrived. It was polite but carried the same new tone of desperation. She was asking about buying out her share of the deposit. I forwarded it to Walter, and didn't respond. His reply came within an hour. Professional, tight, with an attached password-protected file labeled Kyle. Inside were messages between Megan and Kyle that were damning. One read, "We can get the deposit from him. It's just a matter of timing." Kyle's reply, "I'll handle it. Don't make it seem like we're in a rush. Let him think we're trying to settle on good terms." They'd planned to manipulate me from the start, to act like they were negotiating while buying time to get what they wanted. I felt no triumph, only a flat sense of finality. I forwarded everything to Megan's lawyer with one line. "I'm not entertaining this request. Any further communication must go through my attorney." The messages stopped. Her lawyer didn't reply. The silence that followed signaled the fallout. They'd pushed too far. She wouldn't get the money or the control. The game was over. 6 months later, it was wrapped up. Quiet, professional, ruthless. Walter did the work and I let him. I didn't speak to Megan directly during that time except through lawyers. Not once outside the formal process. Each legal milestone took a little more of the person I used to be, but I kept going. Megan's lawyer fought, but Walter had everything. Messages, receipts, bank records, every breadcrumb. He used her own words to dismantle her claims of fairness. The judge ruled in my favor on asset division. She walked away with almost nothing. A few personal items and a sliver of savings, but not what she thought she deserved. The lease and purchase option had already been transferred into my name months earlier. All that remained was my signature. The win felt anticlimactic. No celebration, just a clean resolution. A month ago I sat at the closing table with a pen and signed away the last tie to what we'd built. The house was mine in every legal sense. I didn't care how Megan or Kyle were doing. Friends said they'd ended up in a cramped apartment trying to salvage whatever they could. I didn't send a card. I didn't reach out. I wasn't part of their mess any longer. Rumors kept coming. Megan was feeling the pressure, the reality of what she'd lost. Whispers reached me. She was resentful, trying to understand how it all unraveled so fast. Not my problem. She chose her path, chose Kyle, chose the lies, and left me with paperwork to sign. I signed it. I was sprawled on my new couch with the TV on low when an email arrived. Your Spotify password was changed. I smirked. She was still on the family plan, one tiny thread I hadn't bothered to cut. I opened the app, kicked her off, reset the password, and shut off family sharing. Took less than a minute. Felt like flipping a deadbolt I hadn't known was still unlocked. That was the last connection. She was out of my finances, my house, and my playlists. Whatever music she wanted now, she'd pay for herself. The place stopped feeling like hers. I painted the kitchen, covered that awful sage green she insisted on, installed open shelves, swapped cabinet hardware, tore down the little chalkboard wall she used to scribble on like we were some cute Pinterest couple. I cleared the closet, sold her side table, swapped the headboard. Even the bed felt different. Not a single photo of her remained. No trace of her personality tucked away in a drawer. The house wasn't a set anymore. It felt mine. I didn't hate her. I didn't replay the lies. I didn't care what stories she told her friends, or what excuses she muttered at night. I felt little beyond relief. She'll probably spend years blaming me, saying I changed, that I was cold, unforgiving. Maybe I was. But I didn't ruin anything. I just stepped out of the way and let it fall apart on its own.